Good morning and welcome back to Newsy, Slim Science for you. In this Newsy segment, I'm going to talk about the impact of Wegovy and the weight loss drugs shortage to the consumer, to the healthcare professional, and to the investor. This is fresh, hot off the presses, coming from Medscape, October 31st, and originating from the Reuters Health Information System, and written by Maggie Fick and Jacob Gronholt Pedersen. Let's dive right in. All right, so what we see is that Novo investors seek clarity on when this drug is going to be available. They want clarity for the reasons I just mentioned. The lack of the medication will ultimately put downward pressure on the stock price. It's just my opinion. I'm not a financial guru, but I know that if I can't actually sell the material because it's not available or there's a cap on how much I can sell, that's a problem. However, if we think that cap might be relieved earlier, quicker, or at least have some clarity about when that cap will be released, we might be optimistic, and that would continue to drive the stock prices up. All right, so what they said is Novo Nordisk published the third quarter results next week, but they're expected to be outstanding. But they really do want to know when the starter doses of its weight loss Wegovy drug will cease. So I'm going to hop right over to the FDA shortage page just so you can see what they're talking about. You can see here the current and resolved drug shortages and discontinuations reported to FDA. So it's always going to be based on, of course, what is reported to them. But as of today, when I'm looking at the website, and this appears it was revised in September 23, these are the current shortages. Wegovy injection 0.25 mg, 0.5 mg, and 1 mg. Availability and estimated shortage duration. It's limited availability. So it doesn't say no availability, but limited availability. The estimated shortage duration, here's where we're going to get into, or if you're a Novo investor, into some squishy territory. Estimated drug shortages to be determined. They don't know. Okay, what's the reason? Demand increase for the drug. We're going to see in the article that does appear to be a big factor, but there were also some other production factors that came into play here. We can see here for the 1.7, 2.4 mg, it's available. And for Ozempic, we can see the 1.34 mg is currently available, but the 2.6 limited availability through the end of 2023, which I find kind of interesting. Here, they were able to, so Nova or whomever was able to say where they thought that the Ozempic would become available again. So they're looking end of 2023, but we're not seeing that up here. And let's dive into what Novo says about that. Novo's share prices have nearly tripled since Wegovy. Okay, so they have a little bit of room, right? They have a little bit of room to play with. It was launched in June of 2021, and it has proved phenomenal success. It's a Danish drug maker, and it's listed at Europe's most valuable company at $437 billion. But Novo has struggled to keep up with the soaring demand for the anti-obesity, appetite-suppressing drugs, forcing it to limit the number of patients who can start treatment. So if you can't start treatment, you'll search for other things. But is there something else? Let's wait and see. So it's also debuted interestingly in the UK and Germany, despite its pent-up demand requirements. So supply of Wegovy is the most important thing for the specialist in healthcare covering Novo right now, said Barclays analyst Emily Field. In August, Novo said the curbs would most likely extend into 2024. So remember on the previous page for the FDA shortages, I mentioned that, look, for Ozempic, they have a end of 2023 posted, but they say extend into 2024. What does that mean? First quarter, second, third, fourth. This has a significant impact if you're insecure of knowing when it's going to come out as a consumer, as an investor, which that's not what I'm not an investor, but to see when is this going to be available. Some analysts have said that a firm date would ease the concern about the constraints, the supply constraints, could allow, with the lack of this, oh, here we go, could allow rival Eli Lilly to get ahead. Okay, so now we have another horse in this race. It sounds like they've got something similar going, and they do. I'll review that in a different video in more detail, but I will do it to some level right here. So Eli Lilly's most valuable drug company ahead of Novo has said it expects U.S. approval for the drug that is currently licensed for weight loss to be used by the end of the year. So this drug that they're talking about, that they're looking to be licensed, is Monjaro. Right now, you can see here this is a FDA website announcing FDA approves novel dual-targeted treatment for type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes. This is Monjaro. It's a tirzepatide, and it's an injection, and they are deep into clinical trials for this already. This has been ongoing, and again, in a separate video, I'll look at some of those clinical trials. So the weekly injections belong to a class of the GLP-1 agonists, which analysts estimate they think that there is a $100 billion market, could be even greater than that, I would think. Earlier this month, Novo raised its outlook for sales and operating profits. It said that the operating profits soared by 47% and its sales by 38%. Okay, but you can sell it, but if you can't deliver it and somebody comes up behind you and can deliver something equivalent, at least as good or better, once you've lost a customer, it's very hard to get them back. So this is a real horse race and worth watching. All right, let's wrap this up with a couple of final comments. So a portfolio manager at Union Investment in Germany and a Novo shareholder said that while easing supply restrictions they were already priced into the stock, but he would expect more downward pressure if supplies are further delayed. But he thinks the positive earnings are going to sort of stave this off for a little bit longer. So if you're already invested in Novo, you're going to stay invested because of the positive earning numbers that were released. And Novo's going to be releasing their numbers, their full third quarter numbers in 2 days from today. The company has so far released scant details on the supply chain of Wegovy and Ozempic, but they are increasingly trying to understand where the bottlenecks are. I would guess that Novo understands very well. This is just me guessing, right? This is your this is your golden treasure. You know where your supply chain bottlenecks are. You just don't want the rest of us to know. So that's interesting. Novo is spending billions to increase Wegovy output and hiring more contract manufacturers to fill the pens. In a separate video that I'll be doing, I'll talk about how the growth in these pre-filled pens have led to a whole new industry. While this industry has been around for a while, not to this level where it's really growing and changing. Reuters reported in July that quality lapses in a factory in Brussels operated by Catalent, which fills the syringes used in the pens, did create some of the Wegovy shortages in the U.S. throughout 2022. They said that Catalent has said that it has a track record of high quality and is somewhat irrelevant to the article in my mind. Apparently there was a problem. I'm going to assume, based on what Catalent is saying, that problem has been resolved, but it still sounds like Novo may be looking at other manufacturers for this. U.S. prescription data for the third quarter didn't indicate that supply of the 3 lowest Wegovy doses, also known as the starter doses, has improved. And that was apparently analyst at Jefferies said in a research note on the 20th. And we just saw that on the FDA's website. If Novo next week cannot give a date for when it will increase supply restrictions for the lowest doses in the U.S., that would be seen as negative by the market. So let's keep our eyes on this, see if they're going to be able to tell us when we're going to be seeing more product released, and keep our eye on the drug trials for Monjaro to be released as a weight loss treatment, because then that becomes a real horse race. All right, everybody, that's it. I'm going to wrap it up for today for the Newsy, for Slim Science for you. Thanks, everybody.